Boris Johnson was born Alexander Boris de Pfeffel Johnson on June 19, 1964, in New York City, into a family that was both cosmopolitan and distinguished. His father, Stanley Johnson, was an economist and politician with roots in the Conservative Party, while his mother, Charlotte Fawcett, was an artist from an intellectual family with strong academic traditions. Boris grew up with three siblings, Rachel, Joe, and Leo, all of whom went on to have careers in public life, journalism, and politics. The Johnson household was vibrant, multilingual, and steeped in debate, though also marked by tensions, as his parents' marriage would eventually collapse. Boris had a complicated childhood, moving frequently between the United States, Britain, and Europe due to his father's work, and from an early age, he developed the adaptability and charm that would later characterize his political persona. His family background gave him a blend of privilege and eccentricity, shaping him into a figure who was at once rooted in elite institutions yet capable of presenting himself as approachable and humorous. The young Boris contracted serious health issues in childhood, including deafness in one ear that required several operations, but his resilience and energy helped him bounce back. Friends and teachers observed in him a combination of brilliance, competitiveness, and mischief. He was often seen as restless and somewhat chaotic, but also gifted with charisma and an unusual ability to command attention. The family's Anglo-American ties also gave him dual nationality at birth, something that would remain a symbolic detail in his career, as he later renounced his American citizenship while serving in high office. His early years foreshadowed the contradictions that would define him, a man of privilege who cultivated an image of everyman relatability, and a serious competitor cloaked in humor and eccentricity. Boris Johnson's educational career played a critical role in shaping his personality and ambitions. He attended the prestigious European School in Brussels when his father worked for the European Commission, and later Ashdown House, a preparatory boarding school in East Sussex, where he began to distinguish himself as an academic and sportsman, though his mischievous behavior often landed him in trouble. From there, he gained admission to Eton College, one of the most elite schools in Britain, where he became a King's Scholar. At Eton, he cultivated the larger-than-life personality that would become his hallmark: witty, eccentric, sometimes careless, but undeniably magnetic. Teachers noted that while he could be lazy and disorganized, his natural intelligence, coupled with a knack for rhetoric, enabled him to succeed. His oratory skills and his distinctive style of humor began to emerge during these years, and his peers often saw him as someone destined for public life. After Eton, Johnson proceeded to Balliol College, Oxford, where he studied classics. At Oxford, he became president of the Oxford Union, a role that honed his debating abilities and introduced him to the networks of future politicians and journalists. His time at Oxford cemented his reputation as ambitious, witty, and somewhat controversial, as he was both admired for his charisma and criticized for his opportunism. Following his studies, Johnson pursued a career in journalism, first at the Times, though he was dismissed for fabricating a quotation, and later at the Daily Telegraph, where he served as the Brussels correspondent. His reporting was often colorful and exaggerated, portraying the European Union in a humorous and sometimes hostile light. This style made him a popular figure among British Eurosceptics and began shaping his political narrative as a critic of European bureaucracy. His struggles were partly self-inflicted, as his penchant for embellishment and humor sometimes undermined his credibility, yet it also created his public persona as an unconventional, engaging figure who was difficult to ignore. His journalism career later included editing The Spectator, where he further established himself as a public intellectual, though not without controversies and scandals over his personal life and provocative commentary. Boris Johnson's transition into politics came as a natural extension of his media fame and his ability to connect with the public. In 2001, he entered the House of Commons as the Conservative Member of Parliament for Henley. His career in Parliament was marked by both successes and frequent controversies, as his gaffes and personal scandals often drew criticism, yet his humor and charisma made him a popular figure with the public. His real breakthrough came in 2008, when he was elected Mayor of London, defeating the Labour incumbent Ken Livingstone. His tenure as mayor lasted 2 terms, from 2008 to 2016, and was characterized by a focus on infrastructure, public transportation, and cultural promotion. The introduction of the cycle hire scheme, popularly known as Boris Bikes, became one of his signature achievements, along with the development of the London Olympics in 2012, which were widely seen as a success for the city. Yet his mayoralty was not without criticism, as his opponents accused him of neglecting serious social issues and focusing more on spectacle than substance. Still, his popularity grew, and he established himself as a national political figure. His role in the 2016 Brexit referendum propelled him to the forefront of British politics. As one of the most prominent leaders of the Leave campaign, he championed the message of reclaiming sovereignty from the European Union, using his rhetorical skills and populist touch to galvanize support. The success of the Leave vote shocked the establishment and reshaped Britain's political landscape, with Johnson becoming both a hero to Brexit supporters and a villain to its opponents. Following the referendum, he served as Foreign Secretary under Prime Minister Theresa May, though his time in the role was turbulent, marked by frequent disagreements with May's cautious approach to Brexit. In 2019, after May's resignation, Johnson succeeded her as leader of the Conservative Party and became Prime Minister. As Prime Minister, Boris Johnson faced the dual challenges of delivering Brexit and navigating the global COVID-19 pandemic. He pushed forward the withdrawal of Britain from the European Union, securing a revised deal and leading the country out of the EU in January 2020. For many of his supporters, this cemented his role as the leader who finally delivered Brexit, ending years of political deadlock. However, the pandemic quickly became the defining crisis of his premiership. Johnson's handling of COVID-19 was both praised and criticized. His government implemented lockdowns, rolled out an ambitious vaccination program, and managed to reopen the economy, but he also faced backlash for delays in response, inconsistent messaging, and reports of rule-breaking gatherings at Downing Street during lockdowns, known as the Partygate scandal. These controversies severely damaged his credibility and weakened his standing even within his own party. His premiership also faced challenges in the form of economic turbulence, rising costs of living, and political unrest in Northern Ireland related to Brexit arrangements. Johnson's leadership style, often described as chaotic but energetic, continued to polarize opinion. For some, he represented a charismatic populist who could connect with voters beyond traditional party lines, while for others, he symbolized recklessness, dishonesty, and lack of seriousness. In 2022, following months of political scandal and mounting resignations within his cabinet, Johnson was forced to step down as Prime Minister, though he remained a significant figure in British politics. The story of Boris Johnson is one of contradictions, a man of elite education who positioned himself as a champion of ordinary people, a skilled orator whose career was repeatedly threatened by his own words, and a political leader who combined humor and showmanship with serious responsibilities. His achievements include his leadership of London during a transformative era, his role in securing Brexit, and his government's vaccination rollout. His failures include the mismanagement of crises, personal scandals, and the erosion of trust that ultimately brought his premiership to an end. Yet despite the controversies, his impact on British politics has been undeniable, as he helped reshape the nation's direction in the 21st century. Johnson's life story reflects a restless energy, a flair for drama, and an ambition that has made him one of the most recognizable and polarizing leaders of his time, a figure whose legacy will continue to be debated long after his departure from office.